fierce and fly over 40. Hey, BCI. And we want to tag Nichelle _ Jenkins. Jinkins. Okay, hold on. My multitasking skills are not the best thing. So I had to do that before I could even start talking to folks. So happy to have you here forever, Mickey Mouse. Oh my goodness. So your name is doing something for me because little known fact about me, I used to work for the Walt Disney Company in youth entertainment from 2009 to 2011 with Disney Cruise Lines. So yeah. BCI, let me tell you, you have been one of the highlights of my week. If you guys are not following Black Christian influencers, make that something that you do before you go to bed. Do you hear me? Do that tonight. Loving, living. Y'all's handles will preach, okay? Torian Beauty, I appreciate you and your advice. She's an amazing esthetician. When the quarantine first set in, I had a lot of dry patches here and here. I had a consultation with her and she gave me some things. She wants me to do a little bit more, and she's right, I should, but she helped me get it to a little bit more supple. As a matter of fact, I'm doing so well. I'm a little oily, but let's say that's the anointing, huh? We can say that. Nichelle is here. Let me tell you something, y'all. We need this time. We need this time. You know it, right? And it goes without saying that we need some refreshment. You know, there's a scripture that talks about, it's something like, come to me, all you who are heavy laden, who are burdened, who are overwhelmed, and I will give you rest. I will give you peace. I will give you refreshment. I'll give you rejuvenation for your soul, honey. And times like this, where we're coming together to not deal with the heavy things right now. We have some really heavy conversation last night. If you were on that live with From Grief to Grind, where we talked about the collective trauma that we're experiencing, as well as helping people who recently have experienced loss of a loved one and things like that. So we know that stuff is there, but I want you to take a break. I want you to just think. You know who I want you to think about? You. That's it. That's it. I have a friend that's Nigerian, and she always kind of like does these jokes where she's mocking how her mom says that's it, and she's like, her mom says that's it. So that's it. You is who we're thinking about, and I want you to be thinking about. And I know that there are people who are under 40. I'm so happy that this page has Gen Z represented. I talked to a Gen Alpha this week, but we've also got a lot of Gen X. That's my generation, the best one that's out here. But we have our millennial friends. I'm kind of like an auntie kind of for that generation. And then we have the baby boomers, which to me are like a cross between Gen Z and Gen X. So wherever you find yourself, you can be at your fittest, fiercest, flyest self. And the guest that we have here tonight, that is how she is living, y'all. That is how she is living. Not sometimes, but that's her daily. And so I'm going to get ready to bring her in. Nichelle Jenkins. Wait till you see her, first of all. Like, going through your feed and you see a sister and you like, girl, you better. She is that type.
What up?
Yes, you may have to. There you are.
There
Oh my
I
goodness.
am. What's up? What's up? Hey, y'all.
Can we just pause? Look at you. Do you see you?
Wow. Girl, you know red and a ring light will do wonders. So that's all I say.
Ring lights are not
Yo.
ring lights are not creating complexions.
Oh,
Ring lights
wow.
are not creating anything but better lighting. You
Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Queen.
like I am not playing. Like, can we just flood the screen with heart for the
Oh,
vision that you
wow.
see before you?
Love y'all. Love y'all.
I'm
Whoa.
telling you.
Such a pleasure to be here and, share with my people who, oh, thank you. Who, like you said, hopefully will take you up on your invitation to like think of themselves,
Yeah.
to consider themselves worthy of being well, right? And that is indeed what kind of propelled me to this phase of what I do and why I call myself a holistic wellness coach.
Mhm. So important that you said that because I have heard, well, virtually, because that's how we've been connecting with people mostly.
Yeah.
And I've heard women say that they feel like the way they care about themselves and care for themselves has kind of gone to the wayside. I know, right? Torian Beauty says she's definitely fierce and fly. And
Thank
one
you.
lady said that, I got the kids at home because we've got people that are doing e-learning. And she's like, by the time I get through all of that, I'm
Mhm.
tired and more exhausted mentally and physically than I was, before. So sometimes this stuff could go, you know, just in the ditch, which is
Yeah.
why it's so important that we can look to pages like yours to stay inspired and encouraged, along the way. So here's how I want to do this, y'all. If you
Okay,
have
cool.
questions for Nichelle, you can put them in the comments. If you have something that's kind of more private and you want to make it anonymous, hit that question box, and then I'll be the one that sees it and I can share it with her. And people
Okay.
who are watching this on the replay, you can also type a question wherever the comments are, and I'll make sure that she gets it. So
Awesome.
here's something that I'm curious about.
All
So
right.
I discovered that you're named after the real life actress who played Captain Uhura, Nichelle
Exactly.
Nichols.
Yes.
And when I look at you and your vibe and your style, just who you seem to be coming across as, I'm curious to know, has her namesake, growing up knowing that you were named for Captain Uhura, like strong black woman I don't, she was, I think in that role, there was no other black women
No.
in leading roles like that. I
She
mean,
was,
I'm getting chills just talking about it right now, you know?
yeah, she was the first on a network TV show like that and to have like a recurring presence. She was also famous, of course, for the interracial kiss, the first ever with
Yeah.
William Shatner. But I think what I resonate and took from her background and made it part of my origin story. That's a little note, y'all. Take what you want and make it part of your origin story, no matter where you
Okay.
started, or whatever might be a boundary or a roadblock for you. Create your story, and redo it from time to time. But what I took from Nichelle Nichols and her role on Star Trek was that she's a trailblazer, that she was fearless. I mean, she was in space, for goodness sakes, right? She was in a position of authority. And so
Mhm.
all of those things really resonated with who I wanted, the world to see me as.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. Earlier this year, even though it seems like such a long time ago, I went
Yeah.
to a naming ceremony. I had never been to one before. Have you guys ever been to one? Thank you so much, Cuspid Ma, for joining. You
Mhm.
are meeting Nichelle Jenkins,
Hey,
and
what's up?
she is, yeah, all about being fierce and fit and
And
fly.
fit and
And
fly.
at this naming ceremony, it was just amazing because different members of the family added to what the baby's name would be. And then they would say, and I'm absolutely making up something. So they may say, um, we call you Yimmy because Yimmy means blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And then at the end,
Mhm.
they read all those names together and
Mhm.
spoke all those things out. And it just really made me think about, wow, the power in owning your name, even if you don't know what your name means, even if it's something, made up, which I kind of suspect mine might be. But
Mhm.
doing what you said, like having like this origin story where you take everything, whatever
Mhm.
the names are, whatever the identities are that you want to be, and
Yeah.
then you wearing that. And it seems like you're doing that so much in your life. Cause y'all, check this out. She's an actress. That's a whole career. Hold up. She's a fitness professional. That's a
Yeah.
whole career. She's a pastor. So she's a shepherd. That's a whole thing. And she's an attorney. And there are things that I'm leaving out just to let that sink in.
Yeah.
So how did you get and not you are an award-winning trial attorney.
Oh, so I
And
think, right, so the
yeah,
through line, how does all that connect and
yeah.
how does that fit in with where we are? I heard you describe your audience as mostly, folks 40 and over, right? Your Gen Xers, right? Like, how does all that loop together? On the professional side, maybe we find ourselves in a season where, because of the pandemic we're living in, we have to string together pieces of our background. We have to find a way to like represent ourselves to the world now that the world has shifted so much for us professionally. And then fitness wise, how are we going to redo our daily schedule, reboot, if you will? So all of those things to me, the through line in all of them is, started way back at my grandfather's church in North Chicago in Waukegan,
Oh no.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, and which is if you're given a lot, you have to do a lot, right? So that's Luke 12. And then also just a really fierce desire to be an advocate, to
Mm-hmm.
be someone that encourages somebody else, and to be strategic, right? To really be creative and how you journey alongside someone. First yourself, right? As you think about where you want to be, you might have to pivot and go in another direction, whether professionally, personally, and we'll talk about the fitness piece of it as we get older as women. But all
Mm-hmm.
that's the through line. Like I'm an advocate, I'm a humanitarian, um, and each of those jobs that I've had are just different manifestations of those gifts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is awesome. I was also thinking, and Allison was saying, you are such an inspiration, Nichelle.
Thanks, Allison. Allison and I work together at one of the studios here in New York
Mhm.
City, and I'm completely inspired by her as well and her fitness journey and how she gives back to the community.
That is wonderful. And I have a question for you. Hi, Harris Winter. Winter Harris. I
Mhm.
absolutely adore her. So many of my favorite people are on here right now. Here's a
Hey.
question I have for you. Now, I love it. Okay. Have you, however, less as you as striking? I mean, you are. We see that you're a beautiful woman. I'm not even talking about that part. I mean your presence. Nichelle is 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
She is strong. She has this. Your presence is like what were they called? The Dola.
Oh, you mean in like from Wakanda? Like what were they called?
Yeah. What were they?
Somebody typed in the comments.
Somebody type it. What were they
What
called?
was General Okoye called? And
The Dola.
I
Dang it,
don't
I
remember.
wish I could remember.
I'm tip of my tongue. Yep.
Right,
Yep.
but that's your presence. And then we have the hair. But
Oh yeah,
check this out, y'all. She's a pastor.
I am.
So when you enter these spaces where people might be where people might be expecting you to have on maybe a St. John suit and a
Yeah.
hat or something like
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean? And then you show
Yeah.
up with a mohawk and biceps and triceps and
Yeah.
heels. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, like so how have you helped? Because what I would imagine is that people who may have struggled to connect with the traditional first lady types, the church folks types, probably really want to hear from you because you look so relatable. You know what I mean? Like you're all the things. And
Oh,
that is
thank
no shade to other people. I mean, one of the
you.
reasons Winter is here and I follow her and I learn so much from her, But one of
Yeah.
the things that I admire about her is her relatability. Wait, relatability as
Yeah.
well. She's also got the side shaved like us, with
Uh,
the swooped on over to the side. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, what is she talking about? And then they open their mouths full of wisdom.
Mhm.
So, like, what
Really,
is that like for
how
you?
did that, yeah, how did that come to be? So, there's not too many places, as you've acknowledged, that I can go where people aren't going to notice me, right? It's in my height or my build or my hair. And honestly, I wasn't all that proud of standing out when I was younger, when I was in my teens, when I was in my early 20s. I felt set apart, not in a superior sense, but in a sense of having a role of being a guide, of being somebody that could
Mm.
perhaps show somebody the way. If I could live authentically into who I was created to be, then other people, right, would get permission. That's the
And
quote that
you
we
knew
always
that
say, else
then.
would do otherwise. I had an inkling, but
Yeah.
honestly, when I moved to Chicago and then moved to New York, it just became abundantly clear. And, again, connecting to your point about what happens for us as women as we, turn 40 and then we get older than that, like all of the quote unquote traditional things that defined us, right? Perhaps it was
Mhm.
who we were in a love relationship with, whether it was being a mother,
Right.
whether it was, joining the career that our parents worked so hard to provide for us, envision for us. There comes a point at which you just are either forced to, or you take the opportunity to decide who you want to show up as. And the
Mhm.
wonderful thing about it is that you can change that at any time. So
Mhm.
I would say when I was in my mid 40s is when, and that's when the mohawk really came to be. Like I was pretty adventurous with my hair, with my makeup, with my fashion. I had locks, I've had a relaxer, I've worn a weave. Yes, it
Uh-huh.
was my hair because I bought it. Like I've done all the things, but I
Yeah.
just felt a calling, right, to do something that I knew was uniquely me. And so I finally honored that. And it was a struggle to decide, well, how would this be received in corporate America? How would this be received in a pulpit? Like, and then I got to a point where I'm like, I I can't authentically deliver my message if I'm
Mm.
inauthentic to myself. It just won't be a real message. And people
Right.
resonate with who you are when you are in love with yourself, when
Come
you are
on.
real. People resonate with that. My preaching
Mhm.
style may be unlike what some people think of as a Baptist born, Baptist raised preacher. But after a while, I just said, you know what, God, you gave this to me. You gave me this voice. You gave me this height. You gave me this look. And it's not always going to be easy, but I can't help but honor you by being who I
Who
am,
you are. I love
by
that.
saying right
Yes.
what it is that you call me to say, and by being in the world to offer wellness. And if I'm a gateway or inspiration for people to be well, then at this
Mhm.
phase in my life, I'm happy to do that.
I love all of this. And it's interesting because these different spaces that we're in, they will, well meaning, we're going to say, will try to make you be a certain way. I
Mhm.
remember when I was getting some training going through the School of Ministry. I don't share that as much, but I have graduated from the Living Word Christian Center's Bill Winston Ministries. They have a School of Ministry. And
All right.
so I graduated in like '06 or something like that, and didn't think it was going to be anything. I just kind of felt like I should do it, you know.
Right.
But I remember, and now that I think about this, I probably shouldn't have said the name, but because I absolutely adore Pastor Winston. He's the father of my faith. That's what I call it. But I remember, and this has nothing to do with him, but I was told at one point by a well meaning sister
Yep.
that my hair and my look was unprofessional.
Mhm.
But when
Mhm.
I look around, nobody was looking like me and like my look and my style. They were
Mhm.
all like, like nice Condoleezza Rice looking types, you know? Nothing against
Mhm.
Condoleezza, but I mean, that just wasn't me. And
Yeah.
I didn't change my look up or anything, but I did question myself, like, why can't I just be more like that? Or I don't
Fair.
want to wear skirts and put a courtesy cloth over my knees? Can I just wear a t-shirt and some jeans and
Yeah.
go through trying to fit in? And then, as you said, moving now into our 40s, because how are we doing? You guys don't have to comment with your age, but if you are 40, are you gonna be 40 this year? Could you put some hearts on the screen? I
Yeah,
know
let's
that
hear it.
our older millennials are turning 40 this year. This is the last year for our
No.
millennials. They're out
Where's
of the
the
30s this year.
club?
So,
Exactly. Where's my 40-40 club?
right,
Anybody?
where y'all
Okay.
at? But what I was
Um,
gonna say is coming in, I also felt like I
the
didn't meet
41.
all of the traditional things. I had not been married or, divorced. I didn't have kids,
Yeah.
didn't own a home,
Yeah.
um, wasn't traveling the globe, like
Yeah.
all of that stuff, you
Yeah.
know. So, hey, 60s in the
Hey,
building,
all right.
60s
I'm
in the
between you.
building.
I'm 51, right? So, I hear what you're saying. Keep going. You weren't.
Yeah, so my question for you is, we heard a little about your 40s experience. Did you have any thoughts about approaching 50? Was that different? Because turning 40, I was not thrilled. I got excited about it. I love it now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be 50 in 3 years, in
Okay.
a few years.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I have those moments where I'm like, wow, I'm
Yeah.
almost 50?
Yeah.
How? How did
Yeah.
I get here? So
Yeah. Yeah.
what were your thoughts about turning 50 and what has it been like?
Yeah. So I from 40, I would say from 47 to 50 was a serious kind of season of reflection,
Mhm.
introspection, and like coming to a point in the road where I was like, you're either going to do it or not, right? Like I'd had this kind of burgeoning, this desire to do something in fitness on a professional level. I counseled so many folks in my executive coaching side of what I do, like, find the thing, like they always tell you, find the thing that you would do for free, right? And find a way to do that for money. And I've been an athlete, in college and since then, and I was just fit as a natural matter of course. And I was like, just because of genetics, and I was like, this is something for me, right? This is something I love. Speaking of taking care of yourself and finding rest, this is what I love. Like, I don't know if I want to do this professionally. All of that was an excuse, right? By the
Mm.
time I got close to 50, I looked at 50 and said, I'm going to count down, and maybe some of you saw it on my page. I'm going to count down 50 days to 50 on my Instagram page. And
Okay.
I just gave myself that assignment. Sometimes you just have to give yourself an assignment, right? And
Mhm.
trust that God will see you through. And every day I posted a picture, um, a quote, a saying, an observation, something. And I hyped myself up for being 50.
Wow.
Like I knew that things were going to change as our bodies do as the decades pass. I knew that this was the time to make the leap, to reboot, if you will. That's what it was. I was the reboot specialist as of that point. And so I am 51 now, and I've never felt freer. I've never felt fitter. I've never felt more comfortable in my skin. And now I know, like with my mother and grandmother and other older saying same things that have me going, like, clutch the pearls. I don't care. You know what I mean? What you think or whatever. I mean, I don't have that need for that level of approval. And so I've loved it so
Wow.
far. I have
Okay.
loved it. Loved it. Yeah.
Wow. That's a big lesson, that approval thing, that validation thing. One of the things that I thought I wrote it down, but I got it in my head too. Earlier this week, I was out on a walk and I love taking strolls. Sometimes I haven't been wanting to do like super high intensity type workouts. I
Mm-hmm.
go for a walk, I pray, I hear from God. And one of the things I heard him say was, make sure, he was like, it's okay for you to need or require support, but
Yeah.
don't confuse needing support with needing validation. Make sure
Right.
you
That's
check
good.
so you don't cross over. Because
That's
I
good.
can send you support. People supporting you, that's okay to ask for. But make
That's
sure you're not
that's good.
seeking validation from people. And I'm hearing you saying in the 50s, don't nobody even need to tell you. You got that. We good.
Well, listen, as we think about what fitness means as we get older, right? And why, how we can stay fit, that's my body and soul. How we can say fierce, like that's a warrior mindset. I definitely resonate with General Okoye and like that idea of being a warrior and protective of my community and giving back to my community. And that's not to say that you don't need community, right? As you're older, particularly for those of us who are not partnered or not married or whatever, we do need community, both to care for us and to keep us accountable. Like we still need that, right? Because we're not on this globe by ourselves. But I think to your point about starting to get more and more comfortable in your skin, starting to care less and less about people's judgment of you, and interestingly, which may be a conversation for a whole nother day, my relationship with God has changed significantly from the time I declared an inkling that I was called to ministry to today. So that has also matured.
Okay.
But, I'm part of a movement called Health at Every Size.
Hey, looks like she froze a little bit. Probably getting a.
We had an emergency alert here in
Flipped
New
over.
York
There you
about
go.
curfews, right? Okay, anyway, that essentially means that our bodies are going to change, right? Our immune systems are going to be less efficient. It's a function of age, and yes, also lifestyle stressors. We are prone, as we get close to menopause, to collecting more belly fat.
Wait, hold on,
right?
Nichelle. Your sound is totally different. It's like a weird delay. I don't know if maybe if you're using Bluetooth, if something got disconnected, but we
Yeah,
don't
let me
have
see
that.
what's up. Hold on.
Okay, that rich sound isn't there anymore. If you're just coming in, we're talking with Nichelle Jenkins, and she is laying it all out about what it means to be fit, fierce, and fly over 40. She celebrated 51. Right
That
before
was weird.
quarantine, so you can tell her happy belated birthday. Actually, we should probably do that.
Oh, thank you. Doggone New York City just threw us all off with a little emergency notification. Anyway,
oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think what was happening, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. I think what was happening was just getting comfortable with what was going to naturally happen to my body as I got older. And then also deciding, listen, today would have been Breonna Taylor's 27th birthday.
Right.
Right. I bring her up because, those of us that are in the land of still living, right, we are definitely aware of the systemic impacts of racism and oppression on our health. But I'll be doggone if I'm not going to do my part to minimize those impacts, right? We're protesting, we're marching in the streets, right? And those things are important. We're trying to see that police brutality is eliminated and that, all of the things that give rise to these violent acts against us stop. But I'm going to take responsibility at this point for what I can do about my health, right? And so it's a fact. As you get older, right, your immune system decreases in its function. It's a fact. As you get older, we tend to suffer, particularly Black women, particularly as we get close to menopause, more instances of chronic inflammation, right? Coronaviruses are here to stay. We fight those off by keeping our inflammation down and keeping our immune system operating well. So all of this is helping to contribute to the realization that, my 50s are years to embrace. I see nothing but blue skies ahead, but there are some things I have to do differently now that we have to do differently now that we are getting into our 40s and then into our 50s, and then one of your listeners already 60. So that's just a fact. And there's nothing to fear as long as we have the information and guidance, right, to help us get there.
And I think it's so important that people see people. I wish I could remember the sister's page. I can't think of her name, but she uses this hashtag where she says aging backwards. And her point is about, it doesn't have to look the way we in our heads as kids thought this age looks like. like this is a time to be just as vibrant, if not more so, because when you have young people, younger people looking at us at 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,
Yeah.
even 90,
Right.
you want them to have something to look forward to. One of the reasons I follow Fly Hip Ageless, and I know we're both on there and in that community too.
Yay! Fly
Yes,
Hip and
shout
Ageless.
out to Fly Hip Ageless, is because I love seeing these men and women who are just loving being over 40 and fabulous, and people rocking their gray hair, and
Yeah.
people being fit at any size, as you said. So
Yeah.
you mentioned that inflammation is real, a weakened immune system is real, and stuff like that. I used
Yeah.
to hear it said the older you get, the harder it is to lose weight. And I
Yeah.
would like for you to speak to that, because
Yeah.
I know there are some folks here who are maybe even in their 30s who
Right.
want to lose weight and are wondering if age has something to do with it.
Yeah.
What do you think
Sure.
about that?
Happy to talk about it. I mean, knowing, right, that there could be an underlying medical condition or what have you. So super important always to have your annual exams and really keep track of your health and all of that. That being said, there are hormonal impacts as we age. You know, from you've obtained your maximum bone density at 27. All right. And
Wow.
at 27. And so from there on out, it's a maintenance plan that you must be on, right? Otherwise, it will degrade, right? You will be at greater risk of fractures and whatnot. And I say all that to say there are some things that impact our ability to lose weight absent certain positive lifestyle choices that we're still able to make even as we get older. Medicine, the best medicine is movement, food, and rest. Boom. And honestly, losing weight, again, absent a medical condition or some serious hormonal issue that I hope you're speaking to a professional about, losing weight is a function of how much you're eating compared to how much you're moving. It's really that simple. And there are several, styles of eating out there. I happen to be agnostic with my clients as to whether they're keto or paleo, whether they intermittently fast or whether they do any combination thereof. The best eating regimen to me is the one you're going to stick to, right, over time, because this is not a quick fix. This is a lifestyle change that we're working here. And so if you are eating well, i.e., if you're eating nutrient dense foods, right? Foods that had a parent, things that are mostly green, right? You're getting your fiber, right? So part of the immune system decline and part of the inflammation is our body's need to eliminate toxins. And if we're not moving as much, right, that ability is decreased. If we're eating processed foods or not nutrient dense foods, the ability to eliminate is decreased. And so getting that fiber in, fiber is a carbohydrate, super important. Menopause does make it harder for us to lose weight, to lose fat more specifically, because we tend to collect that in our belly, right? And that's the kind of the deadliest sort of fat, visceral fat, right? There's a kind of fat that you feel right under the skin. That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that kind that surrounds your organs, that gives people a pot belly. So in that way, we do have some things against us. We have so many other things for us. Right? So if you're thinking about food, we already talked about that. Eat the rainbow, eat more plants, really limit your intake of processed foods or foods that didn't have a parent. Drink about half your body weight in water, right, in ounces every day, not just when it's hot. Put a lemon in it, put a lime in it, I don't care, just drink the water. Make sure as women, right, that you're getting, I don't know, about 30 grams of fiber per day. Most people get about half that, right? So get your fiber in. Beyond those things, it's not going to be the same workout as in your 20s. It's not going to be the same workout as you get older as the decade before, and that's okay. You just need to work out smart. In general, as we are getting older, and if you're trying to jumpstart fat loss, you need to work out with greater intensity than you might otherwise think. Yep, hair notwithstanding, right? You need to be sweating, right, when you work out. right? You need to move more days of the week than not.
Mm-hmm.
So again, absent some underlying medical condition, there's no reason just across the board why it's harder for older women to lose weight. Eat less, move more.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you got
And
to
that
do.
does not have to be our excuse. There were a couple of comments here, and guys, please
Yeah,
feel free to ask questions.
sure.
We have, where was it? So, Nemo Bacchus, and I may be mispronouncing it, so if that is the case, Nemo, I'm sorry. She says, where can we start obtaining reliable information when it seems so limited? So, Nemo, would you let us know on what particular topic
Yeah.
you meant? Because I have, some things in my network, and I know Nichelle does too, as
Yeah.
well as the people who are here. So let us know where you want to get some information about. And I know that between us on here, we should be able to come together.
Absolutely. I think real quick before you get to the next question, I mean, we talk about the challenges of being in quarantine or socially distanced right now and inability to go to the gym, and maybe our workout regimen has had to change. Maybe we have less time, per workout than we would like. The internet has been a great equalizer, right? So workouts that are very low cost or free or donation based, but I get it. There's a need for some guidance as to like what kind of workout makes most sense for you, what kind of nutritional considerations might make most sense. So absolutely, QE, and I'm happy to partner with you to see how we can share, some of our like Instagram sources that we use to provide really good counsel.
Absolutely. And Nemo, let me know if that's what you need. I'm not sure because I don't know when she left the comment, and we've talked about so many things. And
Yeah.
then before we move on, I think it's fitting to talk about your program. I've seen that you do like live streaming workouts too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
how can
do.
we join in on that? So check this out, y'all. And I put her handle right here for you to go get more info.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yes. So part of my living into this kind of new calling of being a fitness and wellness coach is to offer online services. And of course, like most who are in fitness, it became a necessity after a while once we all went into quarantine. But Fit, Fierce, and Fly, right? Fitness, talking about strength and nutrition, since I'm certified in those areas. Fierce, I have the pastoral training background. We're talking about mindset here, how to like really make yourself into a warrior, charting your course to galaxies far, far away, borrowing from Captain Uhura. And Fly, listen, I like lipstick and, fly fashion and eyebrows like everybody else. And so I really wanted to target the following person, right? This was my avatar when I came up with FFF, right? Fit, Fierce, and Fly. They're high achievers in whatever area that is, right? They like, they get stuff done. They appreciate looking good. They appreciate appearance, but they're not necessarily slaves to a particular appearance, right? They're creative. They're busy, right? They have obligations professionally and to their community and whatnot. They want an efficient, challenging, and fun workout that's not going to take all day. So I have two classes that I'm offering right now. One's a 30-minute body weight class, and the next one is a 45-minute equipment encouraged, more strength-based class. And that's because muscle is really the best way to drive fat loss, right? If you want to lose weight, you need more muscle. It is not within our genetic capability as women, unless we're taking supplements, to get bulky or huge like a guy. What you're looking at, I've been lifting weights since I was 17. So if you start today, you wouldn't necessarily be able to attain this level of muscular development, even if that was your goal. But my point is, right, they want efficient workouts, the person that I have in mind. They want fun workouts. They want functional workouts. Like right now, you can appreciate what you used to do in your 20s and 30s. And to my 20 and 30 years old, I'm happy for you. You may or may not always be able to perform at that level, and that's okay. So my workouts, since I'm 51, have in mind what kind of mobility restrictions you might have in those hips, right, in those shoulders and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you honor your age, right? It's not so much that age is a number, because that implies that you disregard it and it's something to run from. Not at all. You honor your age and the achievements that you were able to acquire in your younger days. But now you're like, I want to see what this body can do now. I want to see what this body can do today. And I got to say, this is a commitment, right, for a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? This is, you know, for the next decade, this is what my fitness regimen might look like. And then, you know, you're willing to pivot again and tweak again. So that's why I created that program. Right now, I'm in the process of transitioning to kind of like a sign-up feature where people can just go online and register for a class. The classes range in price from like $15 to $18. I'm recognizing that we are all, you know, trying to make it work with reduced salaries, many of us, and whatnot. But now is a great time to use this time to start developing new habits, you know? So
what time are the classes? I know you have one coming up on Saturday. I feel like
I do.
saw a post about that.
Exactly. So feel free also. So what I described was my program. I also work with a fitness studio here, also Black owned here in New York, called Studio in the Heights. And I teach classes on Friday mornings at 8:15, and also a lunchtime class at 12:15, and then Saturday mornings at 8:30 for an hour. So you have 2, 3, 4, 5 opportunities to work out with me in a week. 2 on Wednesday, 2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday.
Wow. Now, the ones that are on Wednesday and Friday, those two, not the ones that are with the studio.
Mine are Wednesdays only. So that's my day so far.
Okay.
Yeah, just until we see how it goes. I mean, if you guys like show up in mass, who knows? But just kind of started out slow. That's my program on Wednesdays.
Okay. And all we got to do is go to your page, link in bio to register.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
Sounds good. That is awesome. If there's anyone who is interested in doing the class on Wednesday, at what time is it?
Wednesday, 7 a.m. for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And Wednesday
evening my time.
Yeah, it's early. It's like before you get the day started. Exactly. Depending on what type of work you do. And then 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday evenings.
Okay.
Right. So after the work day, hopefully for everybody, unless you're on the West Coast, in which case, you know, you're right. Yeah.
Right. So if anybody wants to do it with me on Wednesday, I'm saying it out loud because that's accountable. I want you to go to my DMs. You can do it now if you want a head start. And I'll say the first 3 people, if you want to take the class with me on Wednesday, I will sponsor you to take the class along with me on Wednesday at 6. So that accountability, we might need that. So if you want to do it, call y'all out. You can do it with me.
Nice. I love it. I love that challenge. Thank you.
And that's open also to the replay, folks. If I don't see 3 people who are ready to do it, I know that's going to be early. I don't know what your life looks like, but I'm saying this out loud because I know that I require high levels of accountability. And that's something that I need. I'm going to read MJ Biz Consulting, who, by the way, is a person who trains me on Canva and helps and create so many of the gorgeous graphics that you see, including the one that that we had out with the phone. She helped create that. She says, my trainer was telling me when building muscle, you don't want to consume too many carbs. Is that on track?
You know, I don't know your trainer, and I'm certainly not going to call out another fitness professional. We need carbs, period. Carbs are our primary energy source right now. What kind of carbs, right? There's various kinds. You know, I'm an advocate of limiting sugary carbs, right? Processed, refined sugar, white sugar, that sort of thing. But fruits are a carbohydrate. Vegetables are carbohydrates. So it really all depends on what your goal is, but bottom line, in terms of the fuel that we need for our brain to work and for us to function, we require carbohydrates because that's a source of glycogen, right? So again, I'm not quite sure. Maybe there was more context to that comment, but that would be my response.
Yeah, she's having some really great results with her trainer. So congratulations to you Mecca, for being so consistent. You know, what I say, because I follow a lot of transformation type pages and fitness pages and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to congratulate people on their consistency and nothing else. Because just because people are losing weight, that does not mean that they're doing it healthy. And just
Right.
because a person looks slim or something like that, that don't mean that they're healthy either. But when you see people like, oh, she always posting her food and it's like so pretty and it's like good stuff. Like you're one of those people, like you could be in food photography. Um, but I'm just always like, wow, congratulations on your consistency. So
Yeah,
congratulations on your consistency, Mecca, and to other folks out there.
for
And
sure.
yeah, because that's a big deal. It should be celebrated.
Well, that's the key, right? All of this
Hmm.
is a journey, right? And that's part of the challenge of, as one of your, watchers observed, like where do we get reliable information, right? You want to look at the source, obviously the scientific source and all that, but you also want to consider that an outward look, right, is
Hmm.
enticing for a reason, right? And so you don't know what that person's fitness journey was up until that point that they snapped that picture or
Hmm.
anything else. So to be a smart consumer of fitness information, just like you would anything else, because social media allows us to paint a lot of different pictures, right? And
Yep.
it's fantastic when it's inspiring, but it really requires us to dig a little bit deeper.
Hmm. Nichelle, I am so grateful to you for being here this evening. This has by far been one of the most refreshing ones I've done. You know, we've been dealing with some heavy stuff. So that's
Yeah.
no shade on the other guests. They had a big job along with me, where we kind of carried like a lot of weight all the way through, a lot of emotional weight all the way through. But I like how talking with you, we were able to like be in on different parts, sometimes
Yeah.
up, sometimes having to deal with the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for, for being able to provide that. And I know people will be blessed as they
Mhm.
see this again on the replay. I want us to end by you sharing with us,
Mhm.
what do you think is like one of the main focuses, regardless of your age, regardless of where you are in the world, that we should be having right now as we begin to head out a little bit into this, whatever this is?
Right.
What would you advise people? What wisdom would you give people for their next step?
Yeah. As we've all in various parts of the country spent time socially distanced from our loved ones, it's not even so much about a fitness tip or a nutrition tip or a strength tip, but like I hope that we've all taken the opportunity to really think deeply about what brings us joy, what makes
Mhm.
us happy. And I can't answer that question for everyone, but I really invite you to be really intentional about thinking about that. Our lives were paused for a reason, beyond our control, but it's also an opportunity for us to pause. Like, why is my day scheduled the way that it is? Why do I have these people in my life? How am I showing up at this particular space? Like, how am I going to continue to tend to my energy so that my contribution to the world and the way that I take care of myself is optimized? We're all anxious to resume, quote, lives as usual, but our lives have fundamentally changed right at this
Right,
point.
right.
And
Mhm.
so this is, as Arundhati Roy said, this is a portal. Pandemics are a portal, a doorway, right, to a self that we would love to create, to a world that we want to create and that we have to fight for, right? So as we prepare now to fight outside in whatever way, brings us life and joy, I hope we're intentional about those choices that we make.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I am so grateful to have met you.
Oh,
And then I'm
likewise.
going to be stalking you after this on your page, looking at all the stuff. And
Awesome. I love that. I love that interaction. And likewise, like I'm really grateful for the work that you're doing and how you're connecting wisdom and wellness and, giving platform for people to come on and engage and, be more than just like the pretty picture of shrimp or what have you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
yes, and you will see me Wednesday, and I'll be checking my DMs to see
Okay.
who's going to come with me as well.
Sounds good. I love
But
it.
you guys, thanks so much for being here. I
Yeah.
hope that you have a relaxing evening. May your sleep be sweet and uninterrupted. And I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Take
Take care,
care.
y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.